Much love, many blessings. Happy Saturday. Did they change this around? Like, I could have sworn I had all this shit saved. Oh yeah, y'all playing for real. Like, cause y'all not even showing me mine. Okay. Oh, it don't really matter. Why can't I just put that all together? Like, you give me part of the autocomplete. It's almost good. Let's see. Okay. No matter how many times I use Instagram Live, I swear, it feels like I'm navigating or stumbling around it for the first time, and it be making me feel like I'm not tech savvy, like, at all. And it's just like, shit is mind blowing. I feel like they just move little shits around, like, just to fuck with you. It's kind of like the fucking house fairies to be stealing your shit when you can't find it, when you're not on good terms. All right, so the energy feels good. Where are we right now? I already kind of did an introduction into the Pisces season. As we were kind of, as a collective, we're getting ready to move into the Pisces season. I think that we were all kind of feeling this sudden, unsourceable, like omnipresent sensation within our energy field. And because it was so kind of ambiguous, we didn't necessarily come into awareness of what that was until maybe more recently, and some of us are still kind of like figuring out what that is. So I think that some of this stuff is also kind of evidenced by the fact that we had this new moon Pisces that brought a lot of unexpected things to the surface, or just brought things into our awareness as a collective that we needed to see and not be operating from the illusion or operating from the triggers of some type of suppressed or unknown fear that we've had sitting within ourselves. And I find that, like, the placement with Neptune and Pisces, unknown fears and unknown desires is very similar, or suppressed fears and suppressed desires is very similar, because some suppression comes from either feeling powerless or not necessarily knowing how to create the thing that you want in your mind or in your heart, in the reality or within your space. So this Pisces, I really feel like this Pisces season is very interesting, because every time when we deal with Pisces, it always makes me think of, am I really getting the full story, or am I really getting the full anchor point on this matter? Or is it kind of like just a totality of things and kind of all directions being hit from? And sometimes when we deal with Neptune energy, like, we experience that because Neptune wants a lot of things. It wants to feel all the things. It actually wants to feel all the things related to what's going on with what they're thinking about, even if it's not necessarily the focus, even if we're kind of getting off on a tangent. And that's probably where that grounding sensation comes into play. Like, sometimes when we deal with Pisces energy as it relates to something that we're focused on, we associate all of the things, or Pisces can, as a sun, can associate all the things connected to something as being just as important as the things that are on the outskirts or on the outer layers of things. And this is where that sense of grounding comes in. And a lot of this has to do with water. Water, by all the signs, nature, doesn't really conform. It kind of just flows wherever the container that that is actually kind of conformity, but it just conforms to the container just because of what is put in. So Pisces, on the other hand, because of the mutable nature, unlike the fixed and the fixed nature of Scorpio, Pisces has this tendency to kind of constantly keep changing. So it's almost like a very shallow cup. It's large, but it's a shallow cup, meaning it can tip easy and things can spill over easy. So during this time, especially like with the new moon Pisces, we may have experienced is when we feel something, we sometimes feel unexpected things related to what we're thinking on or focused on or contemplating on, as it relates to the situation within our subconscious or unconscious heart. And our conscious mind, because the conscious mind has very limited power by comparison to the subconscious mind, sometimes when we're dealing with Pisces or in the Pisces season, we can feel like we have used all of this energy but haven't actually accomplished anything in the physical. And that's because that's when the Pisces kicks in our dream state. It kicks in our daydream state. It kicks in our mental state. It kicks in our fantasies and the things that take us somewhere beyond tangible reality. So obviously during this time, especially like with the things heating up in my fire signs, I want to focus on Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius and see how things really flow. Ultimately, I really want to focus on what things really are versus what they seem to be, and how we as a collective can move towards those things, because a lot of manifesting intent has a lot to do with our emotions, and a lot of the accuracy and success of the things that we manifest has a lot to do with how healthy what it is that we desire in our heart is for our energy field, and how practical it is. And practical is almost like a counter or a clashing word as it relates to Pisces sometimes, because fantasy and practicality are literally on the polarity ends of the scale. So this is also a call within spirit that we really should be looking at how practical what it is that's moving the emotional sensations within us is. Is it just moving us emotionally, or is it actually practical for what it is that we're doing? So let's actually kind of delve into Aries. Let's get actually started before I actually get off on a tangent. I think I gave these some good energy. First things first, I do want to pull an overall message for the fire signs and the collective. I don't want to jump too far ahead. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rolling into Aries. And I'm working with the Strength of the Inner Guidance deck. I'm kind of paraphrasing it. Something like Inner Guidance. Oh, Unshakable Inner Peace. Really powerful oracle cards, especially when we need to bring things to the forefront that have been subtle in our energy, traumas, or even glimmers, good things that are awakening and taking place within our energy body. Okay, as it relates to the fire signs, so a lot of the fire signs express your creativity and start something. So for the fire signs as a whole, this is the time for you to really make sure that you're putting whatever it is that you have to use. Get out of your head, stop overthinking. Fear literally stunts creativity. Fear literally saps the energy from the sacral chakra, and as well as our throat chakra, but particularly the sacral chakra, because guilt robs or erodes fear, and guilt deposits in the sacral chakra. And when we have guilt, or when you have fears or just doubts or things that block or put a dam block on our sacral chakra energy, we lose that sacred energy, we lose that sexual energy, and sexual energy is creative energy. So during this time, I would say fire signs across the board, you may have been having hiccups or bumps as it relates to your sexuality or the expression of your sensual nature, which is your sexual energy. So you may be running into blocks with actual acts of physical intercourse and intimacy, or you're actually running into situations with your creativity being stumped, or people judging or critiquing and running into insecurity issues, because the insecurity deposits in the sacral chakra as well. And those insecurities can manifest as manipulations or having to find vices and outlets. And because Pisces, I've been talking about Pisces, vices and addictions, the areas where you're not able to creatively express, or there's blocks, you've been seeing these indulgences and the things that people do when they're sexually repressed or creatively repressed, which is writer's block. So this is a awareness during this time to bring attention to those areas. Most likely the areas that seem very impossible or just very far-fetched, or the gap between what it is that you're trying to believe for or create in your reality, is actually practical, and actually creating a way, even though if it seems like it's not practical, what are you actually doing to make the blueprint come into fruition? Is it a matter of money? Is there a matter of missing energy and passion? Is there a matter of missing knowledge, or just simply not allowing for the support? There's a lot of good things in there. So kind of rolling off of that energy, I really want to move into Aries, because we're dealing with the first house and self-expression, very fiery, fiery cardinal energy. So there's a lot of movement that's been taking place, and Aries is actually very close to Pisces. The first and the last is actually almost like the same thing when you think about it. So Aries in a lot of ways relates to Pisces, because the start and the end, the start of one thing is the end of something else, or vice versa. So Aries is trying to figure out how they found themselves in this position, kind of like coming across a maze, stepping into a maze where it kind of just circled it back in on itself. Yeah, bear with me. Yeah, there's a lot of energy in this. I'm definitely feeling a headspace, and this most likely relates to Aries and the headspace. You did a lot of planning. You did a lot of calculating. That's really the word that comes to my mind. I feel a sense of strategy, but the things that you calculate required a lot of energy, but it's still requiring more. The payout wasn't worth the energy that was put in. It's like you worked overtime but got regular pay. So you're feeling kind of the tension in your head, trying to figure out how to combat this situation that you already feel like that you've been met with before. You thought you were beyond this. You thought that you had elevated past this point, and you don't know why you're kind of being forced to look at this situation again. So I really want to keep this simple, because the complex things, when things seem convoluted, when things seem like there's all of this overlay, all of these shrouds, all of this vastness, the best answer to that is the simplicity. So we need to know what things look like and what they actually are. So we have the Eight of Swords for you Aries, especially speaking on, like I said, okay, didn't want to get that mixed up. Okay. A little pause there. All right, where do we go? Okay, for you Aries, where do I leave off? This is not your practice life. Decide. And this is a very fitting message coming into Pisces season, when we deal a lot with fantasy and needing to be practical. And like I said, this Pisces season is going to be a big focus in spirit about practical and fantasy. Okay, like what are you thinking it is and what is it actually? So in a lot of ways, Aries, you may be actually creative snogs. You may be actually creating the resistance and not moving forward. Particularly because I'm feeling a headspace, you're choosing not to move forward because you may not like the people, the situation, or the choices that are being provided. You may have actually been left with a situation where you have to pick the devil you know or versus the devil you don't know. And you feel like you don't want either, but you have to make a choice. You kind of brought yourself to this situation. The choices that you are having to choose from is most likely from comfortability or some type of Stockholm syndrome within the matter, or subjecting yourself to people who you feel, even though they put you in this situation, you're actually showing too much mercy. But that really actually doesn't sound like you, Aries. It really actually feels like you might actually be the causer of that, the one of the cause in that situation. I am seeing an inversion within the Eight of Swords. A lot of this is dealing with the illusion of the situation. So in some way, shape, or form, there's been too much emotion brought to the situation. It has allowed you to justify where you feel that you are, and you may even be playing the victim in this situation. Maybe playing the victim in a situation. The actuality, which is why we see the daughter of coins, is there's too much sentimentality. You're not necessarily willing to do the work, but you do want the benefits. You are getting money, you are getting the energy that you would like, but you may be cheating or doing something underhanded necessarily to pull it off, and somebody else might be thinking that the energy is going one place when it's actually going somewhere else. So one of the big reasons that just really pulling back to the awareness for Aries, especially about taking your life serious, I think in a big way that when you use other people or you put yourself out there to do things for other people, you kind of look at your reality or you look at the situation that you're finding yourself in during this time as being kind of like an acting or a role play. And these people that you are moving the pieces around are not actors, they're not pawns. But because nothing has gotten back to you, it feels surreal. It feels like this shit's not real. It feels like I don't have to worry about anything. And most likely it's been because you haven't been touched. You've been feeling like you can't be touched. And that is an issue. You do need to take heed of that because this road that you've been on is a lot of self-reflecting. I feel in a sense that a lot of the mental energy that's built up has actually been a lot of roadblocks that have been personally created, or it's just been a lot of bridges. It's not roadblocks. You burned a lot of bridges due to some areas of selfishness or just not having apathy or paying attention to the situations before they're too late. On the positive side for you, Aries, as it relates to situations that you're trying to turn around, this is also an indicator that a lot of the hardships, especially in the Pisces season that you've been dealing with, if you've been running into people really just not getting you, not understanding why you've been making the choices that you've been making. And these choices that you've been making have actually been for the best health or the best state of yourself, but the people around you are projecting that you're crazy or just projecting that they don't know what the fuck you're doing. But this projection is coming from a place of simply shifting or pivoting what it is that you are known for doing, and it looks drastically different from what you normally do, so you look like you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So this is also a call for you to see, that's why we see the Daughter of Coins for you if you've been making those strides as far as the alignment walk of moving towards your healthy alignment. This is a very challenging period, but this is also confirmation that things are turning around for you and that the forward efforts is more downhill. Like you won't have to put in so much work. You'll simply just have to take the steps. A lot of the hard work has actually been done, but you still have to actually put in yourself. And you probably wouldn't want it any other way, because at the end of the day, you have to make these decisions. There's been too many people around. And like I said, when we deal with Pisces, sometimes we can have an oversaturation of energy or things and elements surrounding us that is flowing with us. So this is a call that we need to kind of simplify things. You know, Daughter of Coins, we need to get, when we see Daughter of Coins, we also see something bringing in the values of things that are very precious to you. Sometimes they may not have any initial value out the gate. It may only be valuable to you. So this is also confirmation that it's something that only you know about, or something that you started that needs to be continuously cultivated so that it can increase its revenue, increase its output for you. Ultimately, is a very good sign. I would say that as we look at the illusions and look at the things and what they actually are in the situation, Daughter of Coins really shows that you might maybe in the illusions of the situations for you, Aries, as we take the divine breath, the Eight of Swords, a lot of mental work and a lot of blocks. But blocks are most likely created from assuming that there's a block rather than actually being one. Sometimes it's limiting yourself from labels. Oh, let me wake up back. Okay, I'll plan. All right. But yeah, so the Eight of Knives in the position of illusions, there's a lot in your situations that seem like it's more than what it actually is. This is a call for you, Aries, to actually take a moment and bring mindfulness to your current situations and ask yourself, is this as bad as it actually is, and what am I actually doing to turn the situation around? The inversion in this means that there's something you haven't tried, or you may have actually created circumstances to your situation, both of which are very similar in the notion that you can actually still choose to put the opposite energy in and reverse it and turn it around. Your situation is actually reversible. The illusion of the situation is believing that there's more stopping you than what's actually going on. In reality, the main thing that you need to focus on, the actuality, is that yes, there's a lot more work to do, but you need to hold on to what is precious. On the other end, you also need to make sure that you're not being too attached to what it is that you put out there, to the point that it's not allowed to actually take off and actually do what it needs to do. It's important to be honest with yourself and during this time with the people around you, so that they know what they're getting into or what they've been putting into. Because anything that actually is going on for you, Aries, as far as the benefits of what you're receiving, may not actually be being received equally across the board for everybody involved that's actually supporting you. So this is a call for you during this Pisces season to really switch a lot of the behaviors. You actually are capable of making these inward shifts and bringing out a character within yourself that you can be happy with and that other people can really stand behind and honor. I'm really rooting for you. I hope that this resonates for you, Aries, and that you're able to take this mindfulness as you move through the Pisces season. I want to leave you with that as I move on to Leo. I'll move this up here. Leo is always a very funny sign for me. I'm definitely partial to it. I think I only have like one fucking placement with my Leo moon. So definitely feel that warmness at times and the entitlement at times. So, but no, for you, Leo, during this season, definitely thinking on that fixed nature. Fixed signs do have some challenges moving through mutable sun periods when there's not necessarily the most favor in the physical for the things changing, especially if it's emotional changes. I think that security-wise for you, Leo, when your physical realm, your finances, your home space, and your foundations are good, it's a little bit easier for you to deal with the emotional things. But when the emotional things are out of whack, it's hard for you to see the sun in the situation. You may be looking at changes as negative things, because a lot of times when you create something, your fifth house, so you are the sign of children and creation and a connection with the inner child. So when you create something, there's a lot of conscious effort in it. You want it to be that way. And when it's that way and then you like it, there's a lot of pleasure and pleasure activism involved with Leo. So when Leos are doing things that they like to keep doing things that they like. So that also doesn't leave a lot of room for change. Yes, they're adventurous and spontaneous, but the only change in that is that you want to keep doing more of the good things. You don't necessarily want to change from the routine of what it is that you're enjoying. You just want to have a myriad of things like that. But with this Pisces season, you've been getting a mix of things that you didn't necessarily ask for, mixing in with your water. Some of it's kind of been dousing out your flames, making you look at things that you thought that you were good on. All the water in your situation is actually creating steam as it relates to some of the things that you're not quite that comfortable with that have been heating up within your personal space. Let's pull for that. It's allowed to pull the message. You are a joy seeker. Very big confirmation here. How are you finding the joys as this new phase in your life starts? As your family dynamics shift, as the way in which you make money shift, as Pluto goes direct and the households, and you're used to being seen and drawing attention, the way you draw attention, the way you stand in your masculine and femininity, Leo. How have you been feeling with the shifts from Pluto going direct in Capricorn? There's been shifts in the family, dissipations of people in the power vacuums. There are power vacuums that are being consumed. People having to come to terms with who's in charge now and who's going to make the moves in the family, who's going to set the standards for the generations to come. How is your household moving? So there's a lot of movement taking place, and you're trying to find new ways to do things, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot that you have control over during this time. So it's very important for you, Leo. You're trying to find how to find those little victories, and it is very important for you to find those victories, whether in a healthy way. It can be very easy to get petty or to want things, and it can be fueled by wanting to find little victories in situations to justify or to help to ail the things that you aren't able to move. You're used to being able to rule your domain. So the areas where you've been getting this notice saying like, hey, you can't do that right now. There's a truce, there's a ceasefire. We don't have the means, we gotta surrender. And you're not trying to hear that. Like you want to fight, you love the challenge. and there's nothing for you to challenge during this time. I believe that the energy, it has a lot to do with something that is intangible to the situation. It's intangible because the circumstances have gone unaddressed. Yeah, the circumstances have gone on unaddressed. So now it's kind of like it just is what it is. There's still a lot of respect for you, but there's a reset. And I think that you're not necessarily comfortable with the reset. So you may be going out trying to find new ways to find joy because the old places and the old things that you went to for your security and for your heart pleasures doesn't have it for you right now, which is weird because Pisces is to you, because Pisces is the sign of unconditional love. And so on a collective level, I feel like the collective is experiencing the trait of unconditional love from the standpoint that, yes, I'm aware of these feelings. I'm aware of you. I'm aware of the sensation coming from you. I'm not ignoring that, but it kind of just stops there. It's not necessarily the unconditional love of, okay, let me do something about it. Let me actually give you empathy. Let me actually do this. It's just more of like during this time, it's the knowing or the acknowledgement of it. And it's kind of like, well, damn, it's the knowledge or the information is only being used to kind of maneuver around or maneuver away. So it's creating some frustrations, and it's creating people doing things that they haven't, you find yourself doing things that you didn't think that you would be doing. But what is this actually saying to you, Leo? What is this a call for within your spirit and within your energy body? The illusions of the situation. Yep, 10 of Sticks. And what it actually is. Let's touch on this 10 of Sticks. I think this. It's Hangman. I had to think about that because I'm not used to seeing this one. This is good to know Roman numerals, but anyways. Okay, so for you, Leo, the illusions in the situation and what it looks like, 10 of Sticks. So there's already a lot of energy coming to the table that you're balancing everything on your back. You may feel like you carry everything. You may be feeling like you carry everything, or what you're doing is holding it all together. But in a strong way, I feel that there is, obviously with the position, you're the only one thinking this. And sometimes the captain or the person that feels like they're the captain is not actually the one that's handling the affairs, signing and calculating the ledgers, being the liaisons. Well, you might be the liaisons when it's time to look cool, but more by being like a glorified mascot in the situation. Because if people don't actually respect you, or it's kind of like a move around you when you show up, then you're never seeing that. And it's kind of like when you have the Midas touch, everything is gold. So you don't know who's gold or who turned into gold. It's all the same. You can't tell the difference between the authentic and the empathic and the apathetic. And it gets kind of rough for you because you've been having this energy for so long, but now there's something going on within your energy field that's not allowing you to maintain it, which is why there's an inversion in the 10 of Sticks. When we see 10 of Sticks, this is a lot of emotional energy. Most likely the spirit is saying fantasy. Something, a big thing that you've been believing for, been putting a lot of energy into. Most likely you've had this for longer than a few years. It's something that may even stem back to childhood, or something that you've been believing for, that you've been wanting to come into, that you've been working for along your life. And you haven't really allowed anything to deter you from that. But the inversion here is showing that you may not be seeing that this is a healthy thing to hold on to, and it's time to actually let it go. You think that you're the one carrying the situation, but you may only be carrying the fantasy, and other people might be fueling your dream and creating that reality for you. And now that they've gotten tired of that because they wanted to pursue their own things, New Moon Pisces and the energy leading up to this point, the people who've been supporting you have their own dreams. They have things that they've been suppressing, because Pisces brings out our suppressed fears and our deep desires that we've been wanting to bring to the forefront. So in order for them to pursue their things, you're kind of wondering what happened. I thought we had a good thing. I thought you wanted to be Alfred. Like, no, nigga, like, you Batman, that's cool and all, but I don't want to be Alfred my whole life. Like, at some point, I don't want to be sidekick no more. I don't want to be the butler. I want to go out and do some shit. And you're realizing that you haven't really been respecting Alfie, and you've been kind of just leaving him, just waiting on him to kind of cook up your teas and biscuits and shit, and not even thanking him for the efforts that he's been doing. So now you're required to find the joy and go out and do this work in these situations. I would say that for you, Leo, during this time, vibrationally, as we look at the Ten of Sticks in the position of what it actually looks like and what it seems like, this is a very important call for you to ask yourself and take that divine pause, bring yourself to the present moment, and ask yourself, in what ways are you actually carrying the dream? Are you actually the one holding this all together? And if so, how is that taken away from other things that you need to focus on or should be catering to? And in another way, if you've been thinking, really ask yourself, are you the one that's holding it together? And ask yourself, why do people around you feel how they feel? Everyone, it can't be everyone. You know, like one person, okay, fine. Okay, the second person, it might be them as well. But that third, that fourth, after a while, it's kind of like, okay, maybe it's not them. Maybe it is me. So it's time to do that self-check. The Ten of Sticks is really saying that it's a really strong possibility it is. So it's time for you to stop being Debbie Downer. It's time for you to bring sun and light back into the situation, because while you, Leo, are the sign of the sun, when you don't see light in the situation, you can get very depressed and you can stay depressed. And that has a lot to do with that fixed nature. And this is not... Pisces, it's really a warning, because Pisces is so sensitive emotionally. It's actually hypersensitive. It's the most sensitive, well, kind of tug of war between Cancer, but Cancer has like a deepness, a piercing deepness to it. Pisces is kind of like just vast and just ever, almost infinite ongoing. So this is really a call for you to bring awareness to, are you being honest about the state of the feelings that have come forth and the things that have been done? Well, in the actuality, like I said, Ten of Sticks is what you think it is. In actuality, the Hangman. So in actuality, you haven't been doing enough. You've been holding back the energy. You've been cautious. You've been critical. You've been holding what you could give. This is the time to actually give more, and you could be making people's dreams happen, but you just simply don't, because you have what you want. And I do want to say, on a collective level, one of the reasons that we're seeing a shift, and this doesn't even relate to Leo, but just across the collective, there is a power vacuum shift that is taking place, particularly with people who make decisions on people who are not in the position of privilege. The people who've been making these decisions across the board, whether it's with the government, human resources, jobs, unemployment, judgments, judge juries, all the stuff, everywhere where people make decisions, where they sit back apathetically and make decisions on other people's livelihoods and well-being, because from the comfort of their own homes and not dealing with those same situations, these people are being absorbed in the power vacuum. These people are being moved out of these spots across the board, from little to small to principalities. There's a shift going on during this time because energy has been held up. They've been sitting on energy. You could do more, you could give more, but you just haven't wanted to. It's been a very Aries kind of energy going on. And it's kind of like, well, if it's not me or my family, then it's like, well, that's on them. You know, so you're being brought down off the hill because you need to be eye level now. You have not had enough perspective with the people that you've been holding the energy back from. And it's time to see things eye level. So you're going to have to find the joy. You're going to have to look for it. It means it's going to take time. This is the position that you're in. So this is the time for you during this Pisces season to really bring awareness to things that you have dismissed for so long. A lot to do with your emotions, a lot to do with how you've treated people, including yourself. When you take that divine pause in this Pisces season, and as you navigate, ask yourself how you can shift your gears and let go of some of the fixed things that you've been holding for so long. It's really hard to speak to you, Leo, during this time because you don't really have anyone telling you this. You kind of been looking, really over the last month or so, you've been looking, allowing people to be yes men within your energy field. And that is really hurting you. It's fine when you got it, but it's terrible when you don't, because you start to see the real truth of people. When you can't provide those trinkets and those amenities that allow people to overlook that stuff, you start to notice these feelings. You start to notice how people really feel about you. You start to notice that they don't have time for you. So it's really important for you to get right, make amends, There's a reason that this first and last Pisces energy is coming back around. You do have an opportunity to correct the situations and align them back to tone. You can give more. It doesn't cost you really much of anything to do this. You can even do it in a very creative way, because that's one of the things that you're very good at. The energy you have on tap within your heart allows you to inspire and awaken people and to really bring the life out of them. So just do that. Really just give that for them. I hope that this resonates with you, Leo, and that you find a way to touch the hearts of the people as well as yourself that are within your energy space as you move through this Pisces season, because Pisces is offering a big opportunity for some suppressed healing as well as making some big dreams come true. But it's coming from a place of unconditional love. So it's time for you to ask yourself, Leo, what more can you do from a space that's not always an exchange or platonic, and always looking to see what it is that you can receive. It's time for you to get into the heart and get out of that headspace. Much love, many blessings, and Ashe. Moving on to Sagittarius. I'm gonna move this to the side. Put that there. Okay, we're gonna get started on Sagittarius. Sagittarius, what is that? Mutable? Yeah, mutable fire. I had to think about that for a second. Sagittarius is mutable fire, and we're dealing with ninth house vibe. So that means that we're dealing with that higher realm energy. And Pisces has been dealing with the mind. So Sagittarius already has a lot cooked up or available for fuel for just really, what you'll be noticing about Sagittarius during this time is that they're stepping into new roles. And I know it's like, are you in your role or are you within your soul? But just bear with me. Sagittarius is stepping into new roles. Whether it may be an actual physical position, there's a very possibility, but because it's the Pisces season, this may be more metaphysical things, and you may be stepping into positions of honor or people seeing you in a new light, in a way that is like a calling, or you've had to step up in a way. In some ways, you may have actually were supposed to step into this calling. Okay. You were probably supposed to step, no, not probably. You were supposed to step into this calling sooner, but your spirit or subconscious body, you weren't ready yet. You have the physical age and the rotations around the earth as far as wisdom goes, but your inner child or just a deeper part of yourself within your spirit was not ready to do it. It didn't want to take on the responsibility. It's like, I don't want to do that shit yet. I just don't. And there's something going on during this time that is actually pushing you into the role. It's a push as much as it is a you choosing to accept it. A lot of you as Sagittarius are actually really choosing to accept it, unless you're just really out of fucking alignment. But a lot of you are actually accepting, or at least knowing, that this calling is there, and you're deciding and discerning how to move into that role or what this means for your new walk. With this Pisces energy, this has a lot to do for you, Sagittarius, with healing old wounds that with how you felt. You're very set, even though you're a cardinal, mutable fire. You're still very set in how you think or do things, and I think this has a lot to do with that kind of that focus, that archer. Like once you focus on something, it's just that. So, and a lot of that has to do with riding on that, like that ninth house vibes of faith. It's kind of like, what do you need to believe this? Nothing. Me. I feel it. And then we take that energy with Neptune and Pisces and Sun Pisces, and it's like, what do you need? Faith. What else, Pisces? I feel it. So during this time, these sensations, you are probably very emotional, more emotional than you've been normally, but it's a passion behind it. There may be some woes going on because there have been some things transpiring that have been making room for what it is that you're becoming. All transformations and awakenings are not clean. Most aren't. None of them are really, actually. What the fuck am I talking about? And you're stepping into a new awakening, and there's been a little bit of chaos. And chaos comes from both good, positive, and negative energy. And the negative things that have been happening within your space are not necessarily bad. They just haven't been feeling the best for you. But how have you been transmuting that? I think in a very strong way, a lot of you have been finding ways to just kind of toughen up. You've been being very strong within the family and within your households. You've been really just kind of knowing that you need to step up to the plate. So with that energy, you are kind of in this space where it's like, okay, I know that there is something bigger for me, and this role that you're stepping into may not even be an official thing, more so than something you know you need to do. But I don't want to leave you in suspense too long. Let's really just tap into the deeper inner guidance, inner message from spirit. Ooh, okay. Actually, yeah, I felt that. Okay, I see that this energy was coming from you guys. I thought it was just the fire signs as a whole, but it looks like it's coming from you guys, and it's something you need to see. I mean, that's why in both the pictures they have on shades. Very divine humor, because Sagittarius is the sign of the seer, and a lot of your metaphysical powers or empathic powers have a lot to do with seeing and knowing and having vivid dreams. Okay. There is strength in doing nothing. Wait. There's been a calling within you where you've been coming into a knowing and an understanding. Anytime in spirit when we have to wait, it means that there's something else that we're not seeing. So you're waiting on the waters to settle. This Pisces energy is in a mutable state. You can observe it. You can see it. You can even take it in and see what's best and how it's flowing. It's for you to discern, but discern and wait. Don't make swift actions. What have you been forcing, and how can you let go of the outcome? That's a very good question. Breathe. This moment matters most. So two very strong suggestions to pause. There's something that you need to integrate into your being before you take action. There's a download and an awakening that's coming to the surface for you that needs to activate within your energy field. How can you focus on the moment and appreciate that all is well? Have you been too in your headspace or too emotional and been kind of like lashing out to force outcomes to be a certain way? This is not a time for you to do anything. This is a time for you to accept. So this means this is a time for you to listen to your body and to be listening to the people who you trust and are important in your life. Do not take action during this time. There's a transformation that's actually taking place for you that I cannot really stress enough. But let's kind of keep going and actually pull, because those messages jumped out. So I really needed you to hear that. To receive, you must release. This is your message, Sagittarius. To receive, you must release. What can you let go of? What do you want to receive? So we have 3 messages that are still not about taking action. And that may be very challenging for you because you're the only sign in the zodiac, Sagittarius, that actually has a tool or an actual bow. Like, I mean, even some of the other zodiac signs have like claws or just animalistic things to defend themselves. But you actually have a bow. Like, you really just snipe a motherfucker in this shit. So it can be hard when the thing that you're so used to is always readily available. It's the thing that gets all your work done, the thing that you rely on the most, the thing that makes you you. Like, you're asking me not to use that. The Spirit is asking you not to use it. God is asking you not to use that during this time. And why is that? Like, why would you not be allowed to use the thing that's your go-to thing? Unless there was a reason or something that you're not seeing. You don't want to take a shot that you could hit and it actually was a better shot or a better thing that you could aim for. So there's something that we're not aiming high enough for. You're aiming at what you think is important, but there's something better. That's why everything is saying wait. You need to release certain things, release things within your perspective that may be making things seem like this is important. This thing that you want is important to you. Give yourself time. So let's elaborate on this some more, what things look like and what they are. That's very important for you, Sagittarius. As a sign of the seer, it's very important for you to know what things are versus what they look like, because it can have you really running around on the wrong life path, chasing the wrong things or supporting and doing the wrong things for people. What things look like. You have 6 of coins, some inversion in that. So there's a sense of charity or needing to, there's a sense of wanting to give. You feel the call to give, but you don't necessarily want to. I think with the energy that you've accumulated required a lot of work for you to build up, and you don't necessarily want to give it out. But stepping into this role requires you to be more giving, requires you to put the energy forward and to be the thing that everyone is unspokenly waiting on you to be, that you are knowing that you need to step into. It's time for you to put that energy out. So we see the Six of Coins because there is something that you have to do for the people around you. You may be feeling like you don't want to do it, that they don't deserve it, that this generation it's just lost, doesn't need shit, and it's just like, it's all for me. That's how things look. But there's something that you have to open up to. What things actually are. Six of Baskets. So this has a lot to do with the friendships and a lot of old friendships and memories and reminiscence and childhood, sentimental. The friendships and connections that really have moved your heart that you've forgotten about. People who may or may not still be here. Things that make you think about the type of person that you are and the type of person that you want to be. Six of Coins, the reason that you have been feeling like you don't want to step into the role is because you have not had anything activate or trigger your spirit to want to be this person. It's kind of like that line in Batman, it's like not the hero you need, but the hero you deserve. It's like you don't feel that the world deserves you or that you want to step into the responsibility of doing this when no one deserves it. It's not rewarding or it doesn't feel rewarding, but that's what it seems like. That's why the Six of Coins is inverted, and it's very funny that in the spirit that it's in the position of an illusion because it's what you think, but it's really not that, and there's something that you're missing. These people around you need you. It may have been seeming like it's a lot to take on, that you wouldn't be appreciated, you're not being heard. You've been putting out your wisdoms for people and the types of things that you do and the gifts that you do for people, but it's just kind of like a glaze over. You feel that it's not appreciated, but at most it's just some unsung energy. There's been a lot of things taking place, but now that events have transpired that has forced everyone to see you and to know the importance of needing you, people have been feeling lost. And that lost feeling is the area where people need you. That's why the Six of Coins is here. People need you. You can provide that clarity. It's time for you to release so that you can give. Six of Baskets. The weight that's coming from the Oracle and the Six of Baskets is also asking you to take time to re-examine things that you think that you already know how things have looked. You've already looked this over. Like, yeah, I've seen that shit before, but no, you really need to look at it now. Look at it again. Connect back with the relationships. Connect with these connections. This could be connections, Six of Coins, Six of Baskets. It doesn't just have to be old friendships. It can be triggering glimmers. Glimmers is the opposite of triggers. It can be glimmers that remind you of an energy, a new energy, can remind you of an old energy that reminds you of somebody that you want to be, someone you used to be around. And there's a lot of call to appreciate what's still here. Who do you still have around? What qualities about this person inspired you to be who you are? The issue of not wanting to step into the role, Six of Coins, is because everyone feels the same. They feel like fucking zombies. No one gives you life. No one activates you. So you don't feel the need to give this to anyone. But you've been feeling this recently. Around who? Has it been a memory? Has it been someone in person? There's something that's triggering this activation for you. And in the actuality, you need to honor this because there's two sixes in this. And six is the power of beauty, and six is also a reflection of what is it that we have left and what can we do with it? What can you do with the energy that you have now? There's so much opening and activating for you. And if you allow this Pisces season to unfold before you take brash action, let go of the fear to control, and really see what people need from you and what the universe says that you are a blessing, how you're a blessing, and in what ways that you can be a blessing for others. You will see some very profound things open up for you, and the divine will be speaking through you and to you and on your behalf to guide you and let you know what's going on within your situations and how your calling is shaping for people. I really hope that this message is resonating for you. I really feel a strong energy within my heart and rising within my throat. So I feel this awareness of the things kind of churning in you, trying to make sense of what this actually means for you. This is a very powerful activation for you, Sagittarius. Before I kind of move on, if this message is resonating with you or any other, if you know a Sagittarius, definitely make sure to share this with them so that they can resonate with this message as they move through the Pisces season. Drop a comment and share if you really just been feeling this. And if it hasn't been resonating with you, the parts that don't, hey, just throw that shit out. Because if you can't use this in your space, it doesn't matter how good it is, the wisdom, the channel message is. If you can't use it within your personal space, then it doesn't really matter. So hopefully you can take this with you and empower yourself in a way that's liberating, that shows you that you can make use of your own energy in an authentic and real way. It's been a blast. Much love, many blessings, and Ashe.